I'm getting so tired.
Hey,
Very excited to have Hannah Bethel here. Look at you.
hello, nice to meet you.
How you doing, Hannah?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm
Look at that.
excited.
Look at that compound full of guitars and creativity and tambourines. Like, what's happening there? I love it.
Welcome to my office.
Oh my God, that beats a 9 to 5 for sure, Hannah. Oh my God. I have to tell you, you are one of the most mesmerizing artists in Nashville, in my opinion. And you've had a very cool and exciting career. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you for having me, and thank you for saying that.
in.
That's
Yeah.
very sweet.
And this EP, by the way, until the sun comes out, which comes out in March, we had a preview link. Oh my God. I mean, talk about a powerful EP, Hannah. Makes you think, introspection. You share some beautiful stories of your journey. I mean, I hope you're ready because it's going to catch a lot of fire. Seriously.
Thank you. I am ready. We've been working on this for a long time, and I am ready to get it
Oh
out.
my God, totally. Is it like weird, like when that happens, Hannah? You've had this project pretty much fully baked, and you're just like at this point just waiting. Is it like, do you even go back and listen to it, or are you just like, I can't? I like I cannot listen one more time.
um, I'll like take breaks from it, and then I'll come back to it, because then
Yeah.
if I take too long of a break, I'm like, did we do good? And then I'll go back and listen and be like, yeah, I think it's good. I think
Yeah.
people.
Totally, totally. And when I think about this EP, Hannah, I think you captured the seasons of life so beautifully, like change, right? Progress, setbacks, comebacks, all that stuff into audio, into like sonically audio. It's into 6 songs. It's as real as it gets. At what point in the creation of a project, Hannah, do you realize like a theme that is taking place in an album? Is it at the beginning, or is it like when you're like halfway in?
That's a great question. I would say probably, well, in the beginning of the record making process is when kind of the theme is defined.
Sure.
As I was in the writing process, it's all just feels very, it's very widespread, and there's, tentacles going out in a lot of different directions. And then there kind of tends to be like one or two songs around which the record gets formed, and those kind of create the theme for the whole rest of the record.
Gotcha. I love that. Yeah, I'm fascinated by the creative process. So that's why I asked Anna. And correct me if I'm wrong. You've been in Nashville since you are 18 years old, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Amazing, amazing. So you've seen like Nashville grow so much. What do you think about this? We're coming to you from Nashville as well. What do you think about like this? We live in the Gulch, and people always say, "Oh, there used to be nothing in the Gulch, just the station inn or whatever." How do you look at this like old versus new Nashville debate? I'm curious since you've been here for a minute.
Oh, wow. Well, there's lots of things that I do love about new Nashville. Like there's a lot better restaurants than there was when I first moved here.
Right,
Pretty
right.
much like only barbecue and fried food. So I'm into like the restaurant coffee house selection, but um it is a little bit, it's just interesting to see it change so much, and to see so much like, of the historic buildings being replaced with brand new stuff. Like I drove
Yeah.
down Music Row a couple days ago, and I like got lost. I didn't know where I was. As I was like coming around the Demumbrian Circle, I was like, wait,
Right.
what? There's just like
Right.
buildings everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I like some things, I don't like other things. I'm kind of a bit of a um old-fashioned girl myself, so I love the historic, like, authentic stuff.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you, Hannah. And it's amazing. You came here so young, and at 17 years old, and I love this. I love this because at 17 years old, you were spending your teenage years already touring. I mean, you kind of like self-release your own album. Do you like the whole like at 17, Hannah? Like I just want to emphasize that for my audience. Do you sometimes just look back now and like a little bit in awe of how driven and focused you've always been? I think that was amazing.
Yeah, I do actually. I think it's I mean, I really was incredibly focused, incredibly serious, almost like to a fault of like not having fun, because I was so driven on what I
Wow.
wanted. And looking, and that's just how I always was, but looking back now as an adult, I'm like, wow, I was a really abnormal youth in that respect. But I'm grateful because it, that kind of built the foundation that I have, that for what I've created now.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's been a wild journey.
Absolutely. A wild journey. And your story got us thinking about another friend of our show, Candy Carpenter. She also got here like when she was like 17. And her story was a little rough when she landed, female, young, basically, she trusted the wrong people kind of situation. It was a little gnarly.
Yeah.
And she talked about it in the show. Did you experience anything similar, Hannah? Like, pretty girl, young, with a dream. Did you feel that you were like taken advantage by the music row basically makers at all, or not really?
In some ways, but I feel like I was really very fortunate in my journey to really have come to work with really high quality people.
Good.
I always had a pretty good kind of sixth sense about people. Like if I was in a group of people or a situation, I could kind of feel when it was getting weird before it got weird, and then I'd peace, and then the next day my friends would be like, oh my God, this happens, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I left. So I really have
Cool.
felt very protected in my journey for the most part. I mean, there's been some stuff that but it's been
Overall good. Okay, good. I love that, Hannah. We're glad it was smooth sailing. And your career, of course, you started like working hard, putting out stuff. And I love when Train came out in 2018. Let's just jump there real quick, because it was a massive success. I'd say a pivotal point in your career. I mean, the video, by the way, absolutely stunning. All your videos are stunning, FYI. But CMT selected you as like an artist to watch. You were on all over CMT, Lightning 100, like the whole 9 yards. How was this an exciting time, Hannah? Like when things started clicking, or was it like a little scary? Like, how do you remember like at this intersection in your career?
It was very exciting. It was very exciting because I had been in Nashville at that point 10 years and had been working my ass off, and it was like everything about this song felt like it was going to be like the thing that took my journey to the next level. And then it turned out to be, so it was really exciting to have felt that and known that, and then to have watched it happen. And then, what happens when you begin to have trust in the process is that more and more things just keep falling into place, and you're in the flow, it's easy. And yeah, it was super exciting, and really, it just felt really good to be acknowledged for, all the work that I've had put in over the last decade, and to just receive some praise from some people that I really respected in the industry. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, you're so zen, Hannah. I love it. Like I'm just getting like it seems like you don't get too high or too low. You're just like always in balance. Like I want you to bottle it up a little bit and selling somewhere on Music Row. Love it. Yeah, for real. It's really great. And something you've said previously really fascinated us. You said, and I quote, you said something like, only by scraping the bottom of the barrel of our experiences can we fully move through them, come clean. And this is kind of like a theme of the EP. So I wanted to ask you, Hannah, I mean, you do Reiki, you're so in tune with so many things. Why do you think that it's so hard for people in general to kind of embrace their garbage so that they can grow? Like, why do you think it's so hard for people?
Oh, what a good question. Well, it requires you to be brutally honest with yourself and to take full responsibility for your part in, whatever relationship or situation that you're in. Because if you kind of stay in a place of like, well, this shitty person did, sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to, this bad person did this to me, or this happened and it sucked. And you're kind of like you don't have to take responsibility when the fault is outside of yourself for why you feel the way you do or why you are the way you are. But if you can look honestly, and it's hard to do. It's hard to, and then, I don't think that when we are suffering, we can choose to do with that whatever we want.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can use it. We can either be like, oh, this happened to me, or we can be like, okay, this happened, and now what do I do with it? Do I use it to learn and grow and elevate myself so that I no longer attract that kind of stuff in again? Or do I kind of just stay in that place?
It
And
happened
it's
for
really,
me.
really hard to take responsibility fully.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Beautifully said. I mean, you got us thinking. You got us thinking when we were researching that this past couple of days. We're like, man, I just, I think it's because, people don't want to live in different time zones. Everyone doesn't like, if you start thinking, if I don't change, if I don't interrupt this pattern now, like, you don't think of the chaos it's going to cause in 5-10 years. And not only to you, but to those you love and to those that love you, you know? Yeah, you got us like really like Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey here a couple of weeks ago. We loved it. That's your EP. Your EP is creating all this.
Thank you. And that's so true, is like, we don't always realize the seeds that we're planting, and where we are right now is a result of what we've been doing for every step of our life up until this point. So if you want to be somewhere different than you are, you have to start planting different seeds than you've been planting, because if you keep planting the same seeds, you're going to get the same stuff,
Totally, Hannah. You're being so good with your time. Thank you. Let me ask you about like just traveling the country. You are like one with nature. You've been to Arizona, you've done the deserts, you've been like all over. Did you do a lot of that during the pandemic? Like, how often do you do that? Like, and what does it mean for your spirit? Like, why do you have to like to do that?
Yeah. Well, I've just always felt very closely connected with the earth, and have always felt like when I can go and be alone in nature, that it's very recalibrating for me.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts you in a place where you have no distractions, and you're forced to sit with what you are and what you've created. When we're in our normal modern lives, and we're on phones and emails and work and TV and friends and family, we
Right.
don't have access to that quiet space. So being out in the wild alone for days at a time without any distraction is really kind of forces you to look within. So that's one of the reasons I love it. And I also just love adventure. I love seeing new places. I love a good challenge, love a good adrenaline rush. I love being out in the elements and having to the only thing I have to rely on is like my sense and my willpower, like strength of my body. Like, it just feels really good. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. What's your number one like hiking recommendation around Nashville, Hannah? Because I haven't done that yet. I've done the Radnor Lake, and my audience is probably like, "What's happening here?" There's a lot of like parks around Nashville. What is like the one that you like the most that is like maybe 2 hours away or less?
Okay. Good question. There's so many beautiful hikes. Let me think. Well, a great hike that's close to town. It's a little bit crowded in my opinion, but if you would just want to go out for a day, the Mossy Ridge Trail, I think it's in the Percy Warner system. That's a great, I think it's like 6 miles. It's really close to town, so you don't have to venture out too far. But that's a great one. I also love Fall Creek Falls State Park is really beautiful.
Awesome.
Fiery Gizzard is really beautiful. Those are all just within a couple hours.
Lovely.
So.
I just hijacked the interview. I'm sorry, but I'll let you go with this, Hannah. You're being so awesome with your time, and we just can't stop thinking about the album. Let's finish with the album. I mean, the musicality aspect, the band of it. I mean, you had Sadler Baden, of course. He plays with Morgan Wade and Jason Isbell, and one of our good pals, Billy Justino, actually played some keys there. Yes. So like the repertoire of people you worked with. Nashville is littered with talented people. So when you start a project, Hannah, like, how do you know that like there's going to be the right fit? Because everyone can play, but how do you know, like, okay, this is my baby, these are my songs, we can grow together with this talent?
hmm Well, the thing is that you don't really know if they're going to be a good fit until everybody gets in the room and you try it out. So it's kind of like a combination of, you know, making a decision, an intellectual decision on, well, we like this person's style and da 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 da. But it's also just kind of like putting your faith in people. And Tim Craven, my producer on this record, he really is the one that curated that band. And the thing I love about Tim is that he's very intuitive in how he does things, and really wanted to select a group of people obviously on their talents, but also like on their vibe and like how he felt that they would kind of gel together.
Huge.
And yeah, he just did an awesome job. All of those players are just fabulous. Like it's such, I'm so happy with what they did. It turned out so beautiful. And yeah, just honored to have had them play on it.
Hannah Bethel, you said it all. But seriously, like, until the song comes up, you've created a very beautiful gem, like a really beautiful 2022 jewel. And, thank you. Thank you for putting that out there. Really, really appreciate it, and appreciate your time, Hannah.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. It's so nice to meet you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.